On October 23, 1996, 15-year-old Danni Houchins left her family's home in Belgrade, Montana to visit a friend. She never arrived. Here's exactly what happened. That evening when Danni didn't return home, her family grew immediately concerned. It was unlike her to be late and unheard of for her to not check in. By nightfall, they reported her missing. Police quickly launched a search, combing the countryside creek beds and empty fields that stretched along Cameron Bridge Road, where she had last been seen. The next day, a tragic discovery brought the worst fears to life. Danni's body was found off a gravel road near the intersection of Cameron Bridge and Thorpe, just a few miles from her home. She had been murdered and left in a remote ditch. Shock rippled through the Gallatin Valley. Danni was a freshman at Belgrade High School. She loved drawing, hanging out with her siblings, and had dreams of becoming a veterinarian. Her murder shattered a sense of safety in the community and launched an all-out investigation. But detectives faced a grim reality. There were no witnesses. No one had seen her being taken. There were no signs of robbery, and Danni had no known enemies. She was a typical teenager in a small, close-knit town. The motive was a mystery, and without clear suspects, the case stalled. Her family never gave up. For years, they held onto hope, clinging to memories and urging the public to come forward with any information. That hope was realized 16 years later. Law enforcement preserved the evidence and continued to submit it for testing, hoping that someday, somehow, advances in forensic science would give them a name. In 2012, investigators used updated DNA testing and linked evidence from Danni's case to a man named Zachary David Kylan, who had once lived in the area. He was 18 at the time of the murder and had since left Belgrade behind. At the time of the match, Kylan was living in Helena, Montana, with a record of violent behavior and a string of run-ins with the law. When authorities knocked on his door, he didn't confess, but he didn't have to. The physical evidence told the story. Detectives now believed that Kylan had crossed paths with Danni as she walked along the road that day. The exact events remain unknown, but what is known is chilling. He ended her life and left her body to be found by strangers. Kylan was arrested and charged with deliberate homicide. At trial, the prosecution laid out a timeline based on forensic science, phone records, and regional familiarity. Kylan knew the backroads, the isolation, the timing. He knew how to disappear into the landscape. In 2014, Zachary Kylan was found guilty and sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. For Danni's family, it was justice, but never closure. Her mother spoke to reporters after the verdict, saying, "You live with this hole in your life every day. And even now, with a name and with a sentence, that hole is still there." Today, Danni Houchins is remembered not for the way her life ended, but for the way she lived. A bright, loving girl with so much potential.